Reform UK have to be very, very careful about, firstly, which Tories they take and how many Tories they take. I can foresee a poll in the near future where Reform UK are top of the polls. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Can't take the same failed shit, stick a different coloured rosette on them, and say we have a brand new different party.
Polls completely turned around on Labour, who are now the third party, according to just one poll. We've got to make it clear it's just one poll, so it's a snippet. But yeah, it puts the Tories on 26%, I believe, puts Reform UK on 24%, and Labour have dropped right down to 23% now. Remember, some of the polls had them at over 40% going into the general election. Some had them in the late 30s, depending on who you're looking at. This is a huge drop of proportions I've never seen before, especially in less than 6 months of being in government. It's no wonder they tried to do a reset, is it? Which went disastrously wrong, of course.
Do you think Reform are happy at the moment because they've had one or two new people, big names really, to join the party?
I think they're happy enough. I watched Question Time, which I don't normally do, but Farage was on there with Jackie Smith, the porn old lady who got the taxpayer to pay for porn for her husband, and that war criminal Alistair Campbell. They're all on there, and it was basically everybody against Farage. And of course, it's an audience that's completely against him, and he was sat there loving every single second of it. He was grinning ear to ear, and even the BBC's biased audience was laughing with Farage, with him, not at him. They were cheering him, they were clapping him. This is a Farage phrase actually, something is happening, the Reform always say, don't they? And something is happening. If that audience on Question Time can turn on Labour and on the Tory MP that was there, Kevin Hollinrake, who was hopeless, by the way, there really is a big sea change coming here. And Jackie Smith's face said it all. She had a face like thunder, as Farage loved every second. But they've got to be careful, Reform. I did a live stream a while ago, and somebody made a great point in the chat, and they said that Reform UK have to be very, very careful about, firstly, which Tories they take and how many Tories they take. The last thing they want to do is look like this failed Conservative Party that has, as far as I can see, a dud leader and is very, very lucky to be ahead in the polls. They are ahead in the polls for the same reason that Labour won the general election by default. Because some people are going back to them because Labour are so hopeless, and some people went to Labour during the general election because the Tories were so hopeless. But they're not going to stay there. I can foresee a poll in the near future where Reform UK are top of the polls. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh, I think we can see that coming. Now, the two people who joined Reform UK this week, last week, one was the is it Tim Montgomery,
Montgomery, yeah.
That's him. He started up Conservative Home many decades ago, and the other one is a former Conservative minister, Dame Andrea Jenkins.
Andrea Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and they're I mean, the general public have not heard of any of these two people, but in people who study politics and are aware of politics, especially conservative politics, they know both those names. They're two quite big names.
Mm. Especially Andrea Jenkins. I think she's a quite a coup actually for Reform. I like Andrea Jenkins. She's actually quite famous if you remember for walking outside. Was it the Commons or was it Downing Street and somebody shouted something at her and she went like that? She's quite famous for doing that to I think it was a journalist. But she speaks her mind. She has a bit of conviction about her because Reform UK asked her to stand in the general election for them, and had she done so, she'd have probably kept her seat. But she said, "No, I've been in the Tory party for so long. I was elected as a Tory, and if I'm gonna go down, then I'm gonna go down fighting for the party that I've been part of for so long." Which I thought actually showed a little bit of gumption, a bit of rather than just jumping ship like some of them do. She was willing to lose her seat and stand by her convictions, which I quite liked. But her reasons for leaving,
That's called having honour.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and people like that, and people from what I can see like Andrea Jenkins. She's a Brexiteer. She speaks a lot of common sense. I think if anybody was going to defect, it was going to be her because she's been friends with Nigel Farage for quite a long time now. She's wanted the Tories and Reform to do a deal when she was a Conservative MP for quite a while, and she's standing to be the newly formed mayor of Lincolnshire. I think it is. for Reform UK, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if she won. I think she's a very credible person. Tim Montgomery, most people won't have heard of him, like you said, but I'm a bit dubious about him joining. I mean, he's been in the Tories 33 years. He founded Conservative Home and edited Conservative Home. He's a credible speaker, definitely. He said that he's not going to be a parliamentary candidate. So I imagine he's going to do more like communications, maybe some articles, things like that, I reckon. But none of them are too bad. I think they're both okay to join Reform. They're just got to be very, very careful they don't start taking. Like there was rumours about Jenrick. Now, Robert Jenrick has squashed those rumours and said it's not happening, which is a very, very good thing. And if Reform had taken Jenrick, then you're taking failed ministers from a failed government. And that's the very last thing that Reform need to start doing. They need their own candidates, new faces, fresh ideas, not the same old tired dross that's sitting in Westminster now and has been sitting there for far too long.
Exactly. You can't take the same failed shit, stick a different coloured rosette on them, and say we have a brand new different party. It's different day, same shit.
You can't polish a turd, can you? That's the saying.
Exactly. So I agree with that. What one or two Tories, high-profile ones who are Brexiteers, who are on the right of the Tory party, which is not many of them actually. Yeah, one or two of them's a coup. But too many of them, you're right, too many of them, you're just a different version of the Tory party, and nobody wants a different version of Labour or the Tory party. We need something different.